IZW fans, the next contest is scheduled for one fall. And it is a hair versus hair match. Introducing first. From Sicily, New York.
A man who has picked a fight with every member of the IZW roster now has crossed a desperate man with nothing to lose. Pete has insisted over the past few months that he is an IZW official, but IZW officials have time and time again tried to turn him away. But this time, Pete's hyperfixation on that hair has come back to bite him as he is waging it against that man, Scott Johnson. And perhaps a look into Scott Johnson's future, courtesy of Pete the Heat. Regardless of who is in the ring with Pete the Heat, if he has an opportunity to get his ass kicked, this crowd is gonna love it. After all the havoc Pete the Heat has caused, one man had to step up and do something. If the commission wasn't gonna do it, this man was. And what an unlikely person to do it. Scott has given Pete the Heat every chance. He tried to be nice. He tried to turn him away back at Shot Through the Heart, but Pete kept fighting, and that has driven Scott Johnson to do the unthinkable. Step into the ring, lace up a pair of boots, and fight Pete the Heat. Look at Pete scrambling. He does not realize what he signed himself up for. Scott Johnson is taking an incredible risk here, not just risking his hair, but his body on the line in his first ever pro wrestling match. But Pete the Heat has got to get back in the ring and get this underway. Pete the Heat psyching himself up. With something as valuable as your hair on the line, you'll need all the confidence you can get. Now, Sean, this is an interesting match for you because over the years you have been, well, partial toward both these competitors, but in a matchup like this, who are you backing here?
Obviously, I'm backing the athlete. You got Pete the Heat against a referee. I mean, what is there a question here? Nobody gives Pete the Heat credit, and look at how many times he's gotten in the ring and never backed down, no matter how big they are. And look at the ring general technique that he is.
I I think he's running from Scott Johnson. I think that's what that is.
What's he running for? Pete's got nothing to lose here.
Well, nothing to lose but his hair. Something that he has been targeting everybody about. He won't shut up about it, and now he's waging it on the line.
Pete the Heat is a staple of Arizona wrestling. Whether you love him, whether you hate him, you better learn to live with him because he's your pool boy and he definitely gets this crowd wet and ready every time.
Pete rolls out of the way, continuing to mock Scott Johnson. But Scott's not here to wrestle. Scott's here to fight.
Well, Scott better know what the rules are because this is a wrestling match, not a street fight.
Well, who knows the rules better than Ref Scott Johnson?
Apparently not. He's attacking Pete while he's in the ropes.
But many may doubt Scott Johnson. But as a referee, nobody has been closer to the action. He has taken a microscope to every hold, every submission, every move. To where if he were to drop kick somebody, if he were to put him in a headlock, he can do it better than either of us watching through the monitor.
I don't know about that one. But he can't do better than Pete.
Pete with a waist lock, and this is the moment of truth. Can Scott Johnson hold his own against Pete the Heat?
Ooh, not good.
And he seems to be doing it, going after the arm.
But there goes Pete, right after Scott.
And you gotta give the devil his due. When Pete the Heat locks in, he can be a deadly force in the ring. But Scott Johnson is holding his own. Rolls through right back after the arm. Goes behind into a hammerlock. Pete the Heat trying to grab a hold of the head, but that back elbow will do the trick. Drop down, leapfrog by Scott Johnson. And popped up and over with a back body drop.
But that's okay, because Pete's taken outside. Take all the time you need in the world, Pete. This is your match if you want it bad enough.
But right now, it is Scott Johnson's match. A sentence I never thought I would say.
Technically, it's both of their matches.
Obviously not. Pete the Heat's the one procrastinating on the outside as always.
He's taking a 10 count. Listen, Pete the Heat's playing chess while Scott Johnson's over there playing checkers. Pete's thinking 3 moves ahead.
But Scott taking off after him.
That's what I'm talking about. He knew what he was doing. He was baiting him. Scott bought it, and now look at him. Pete just laying in those elbows, one after another.
Throwing everything he's got at Scott Johnson. This has got to be tough to watch for Ref AB, seeing one of his own just get picked apart by Pete the Heat.
When you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Pete in absolute control.
As if picking a fight with Scott wasn't enough, he's picking a fight with Ref AB too.
Well, I do remember Pete was technically an official not too long ago.
Oh, come on, he just put on a shirt. He is not a registered official here in IZW.
What's the difference? I saw what I saw, Ethan. Pete just playing with Scott Johnson. Ooh, big kick to the midsection.
Slapping away at the potentially bald head of Scott Johnson if Pete the Heat can pull out the win here.
Oh man, they better put the janitors on standby.
And Pete just making an example of Scott Johnson. Scott Johnson's putting it all on the line, and Pete the Heat literally is draining the life out of him.
Pete the Heat showing everybody what they came here to see tonight. These fans should be paying double for what they're seeing right now. Absolute perfection.
Pete now burying that boot in the chest of Scott Johnson. Pete the Heat said, "You think you got what it takes?" I think Scott Johnson does. That one's for Padilla. That one's for Johnson.
Hey,
that one's for Rankin.
That ref better make sure that those fists are open. See what happens when he's showboat against Pete the Heat? Cannot count that man out.
Scott got a little too flashy and Pete makes him pay, going to the cover.
I guarantee you Scott Johnson goes to bed tonight thinking about Pete the Heat. Pete the Heat definitely doesn't even sweat Scott Johnson.
Pete going to the second unorthodox for Pete the Heat. But you have to take risks with your hair on the line. Is it enough? Not just yet. Scott Johnson's got some life left in him.
Well, Scott's on one fan here. I can hear him cheering.
He's got 300 fans at this sold-out building. Get it right, Sean. An easy night in the office for Pete the Heat, as it is all Pete. But Scott's fighting back. Call it the commentator's curse. I might have to start rooting for Pete the Heat.
You don't get to jump on this ship when it's winning. You wait your turn. And look at that!
Nasty spill to the outside for Scott Johnson as Pete the Heat admiring his handiwork.
Pete the Heat letting the crowd know they're number one. I mean, look at the ring right now. Pete the Heat standing tall. Meanwhile, the referee, Scott Johnson, on the outside. Listen, if you want to show up under the lights, you got to make sure you're ready to play varsity, because JV just don't cut it.
But the adrenaline pumping for Scott Johnson as he's rolling himself back into the ring. He's come this far. And he's not going to give it up that easily. But if anyone knows a rope break, it's Scott Johnson.
If anyone knows a chokehold, it's Pete the Heat.
Keeping the breath from Scott Johnson's lungs as once again, Pete the Heat is picking a fight with anything with stripes.
Pete the Heat never backs down.
But Scott Johnson doesn't either! No!
He had a handful of tights! He had a handful of tights! How dare you, Scott Johnson!
Well, I'd say he's earned one after everything that's happened.
Lariato by Scott Johnson!
That one's for Barons. That one is for Pritchard. And that one's for every referee. Pete the Heat is giving hell in the state of Arizona.
Yeah, I bet Scott feels really good picking on somebody that's literally probably half his size.
People's elbow, but it is not enough.
Because Pete the Heat doesn't know quit.
Scott Johnson is a man of the people fighting on behalf of our IZW family.
Well, what is Pete then?
Scott Johnson firing up. Feeling himself here.
I've seen this before.
Series of much-deserved right hands from Scott Johnson to pick the heat. Big boot. And drops the leg.
That's what you get. That's what you get when you get in there and beat the heat and you get cocky. You did hook the leg, you were showboating, and that's why you only got to count it 2.
But the fact that Scott the Johnson has hung on so well in a matchup like this.
Scott the Johnson? That's a new one.
Series of go-behinds. Scott rolls through another cover, this time even tighter.
He's got his tights! No! No! He had a handful of tights! He had a handful of tights! He knows it! Play it back! Play it back! Absolute garbage!
Whether you like it or not, a 3 count is a 3 count. And Scott Johnson has picked up a win in an IZW ring.
And a cheater's a cheater, Ethan! You tell him, Pete! Pete, we saw it, don't you worry. I'm gonna make sure that the commissioner knows exactly what happened. I'm gonna show him the replay because that is absolute trash.
Well, no reverse decision can undo what's coming next. He put his hair on the line. Pete the Heat locked this match. You know what that means?
That means every woman's about to cry when Pete the Heat shaves those locks.
Cry tears of laughter as Pete the Heat is running for the hills. But Scott's fellow referees are not going to let him get away with it. Carrying him like a child back to the ring.
It's
Scott
5-on-1!
Johnson.
It's 5-on-1! How is that fair?
At this point, I don't care. This is everything Pete the Heat has had coming to him. Johnson's got the Clippers. Just look at it. Get up close. Get up close. Get a good look at it.
This is an absolute disgrace. You hear the women just crying because they're cutting off those beautiful locks of Pete the Heat.
I just hear Pete the Heat crying. I hear him crying, and I love it. And by the same hand that has counted so many wins for Pete the Heat that he never deserved, redemption for Scott Johnson and the entire IZW referee team.